Hey Star Warriors, Geek here, to analyze the Rogue One Sizzler in depth. The other day, Star Wars Celebration Europe kicked off, introducing us to lots of new information about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Being the first standalone live-action Star Wars film, it's getting a lot of attention. I want to quickly break down the entire reel to look a little further and talk about my thoughts. Before we start, I might as well quickly mention the release of the official movie poster. We see all of the characters running across a beach towards many Imperial stormtroopers, with X-Wings soaring by and the Death Star looming overhead. It's a pretty great poster for the first spin-off film, setting it apart from the rest of the films by giving us a totally different style. Alright, let's analyze the Sizzler. The first 25 seconds of the 3-minute Sizzler are all in slow motion, slowly taking us through varying locations and characters. We open up on a stormtrooper looking out onto a rocky landscape. I'm not exactly sure which planet this would be on, but I'd assume that it's Jedha, a planet that was revealed to be the Jedi Mecca of the Star Wars universe during the Rogue One panel. Clearly the name Jedha derives from Jedi, showing the clear connection between the planet and the Force-using monks. At the top right, we can see a panning camera. The next images show a battle scene which appears to be taking place on Scarif, the location with jungles and beaches where we first saw the AT-ACTs. They're in the middle of a heated battle between the Rebellion and supposedly the Empire. Present during the fight are Jyn Erso, Captain Cassian Andor, Baze, and Chirrut. The next shot quickly focuses on the character Bodhi, who was revealed by Riz Ahmed to be an Imperial pilot who is forced to switch sides. Here we see who I assume to be Jyn Erso standing on a grassy plain. It's awesome to see another moisture evaporator, although I'm not quite sure what use it would be on a planet that clearly has enough water to keep grass healthy and nurtured. Diego Luna's character, Captain Cassian Andor, appears to be cornered in this scene on Jedha. As we've seen before, and see again a little later in the Sizzler, he shouldn't have a problem for much longer. The large number of troops based on the planet leads me to assume that they are in control of the entire region, most likely making sure that the Force is suppressed as much as possible, especially on a Jedi haven. Here, Donnie Yen's Chirrut Imwe, a blind martial artist who uses the Force to guide himself, is simply standing in the middle of ensuing destruction from the attack on Scarif. We get a glimpse of Jyn Erso dressed in her Imperial garb that we were teased in the first teaser. We also see a background character who looks to have the same, or a very similar hairstyle to Rey from The Force Awakens. Now we actually get into the narration of the teaser. Director Gareth Edwards slides across the screen while operating a camera. In the background we see Rebels and X-Wings galore. He talks about how passionate he is about the franchise, and how lucky he is to be directing Rogue One. We quickly see Gareth on Jedha, before cutting to a shiny chrome Death Star droid, which is awesome to see in the Star Wars franchise once again. This clip with Gareth Edwards surrounded by Mon Calamari rebels is one of my favorite in the entire Sizzler. It shows the wide range and diversity in the Star Wars universe through just one species. The one in the front is tinted grayish blue and looks older and much saggier. The ones in the background are pale white, shaped much more similarly to Akbar. I have a feeling that this character will be at the front of the rebel cause. Then we cut to a quick scene of Jiang Wen's character, Baze Malbus, looking up at the screen in his armor. Now, for those of you who were at the panel or watching live online, you know what happened halfway through the event. I'm putting a timestamp on the screen for those of you who don't want to have a major plot point in the movie spoiled. Click ahead to that point and the analysis will just continue. During the panel, Jiang Wen was jokingly talking about his character and his weaponry.
He has a gun. He has a huge gun. He has a weapon. The weapon's very huge.
The whole thing suddenly took a left turn when he let this slip out.
And when this guy dead, I do something better.
So it sounds like Donnie Yen's character, Chirrut Imwe, won't make it out of this alive. It's a shame that he let this information out, but it was more embarrassing than anything. The moment that those words slipped his lips, I actually paused the live stream and just stared up at my ceiling for a moment. I didn't want to see what would happen next. You can just see his co-stars in shock.
When this guy dead, I do something better.
This clip of Alan Tudyk perfectly represents exactly how everyone was feeling. Gwendolyn Christie tries to cut it off there, but it's too late.
I think you've got to leave it there. I think you've got to leave it there.
Anyway, I have a gun.
I suggest not to dwell too long on these types of details, or it might spoil your overall experience. Let's pretend nothing happened at all. We get a shot of Jyn on Scarif and Chirrut on Jedha, while Star Wars veteran Warwick Davis talks about the humanity of the story. Here's a quick shot of Diego Luna on set before cutting to a shot of Jyn Erso handing some type of fruit over to a child on Jedha. In the background are robed figures in red and blue, with a marketplace and stormtroopers in an armored tank surrounding our characters. It definitely shows that Jyn's tough personality has a soft side. A large blast slowly erupts with troopers flying through the air. Seeing the Empire's new form of armored transport up close, along with this special class of stormtrooper, is a very fresh experience. Felicity Jones talks for a moment about how intense shooting on the set really is, where acting and genuine emotions blend together. Large rows of Imperial troops march through what looks to be an airport, with astromech droids and Imperial officers mingling amongst crewmen and workers. One of these stormtroopers has a unique blaster, with a very long barrel. This is a nice shot with Rebel pilots running past the set. Mon Mothma makes a very brief cameo before we get my favorite shot from the entire teaser. Ben Mendelsohn as Imperial Director Orson Krennic absolutely steals every scene he's in. That awe-inspiring outfit with a white flowing cape that was actually showed off during the panel has become his signature. 2 Death Troopers flank the wide window showing a planet. Something that you might not have noticed is an Imperial officer who looks remarkably similar to Grand Moff Tarkin, standing off to the side. Seeing as it has been confirmed that Vader will be in this film, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tarkin by his side. I think it's great that they're using modern-day projection technology to actually put the images on the set without using a green screen. It immerses the actors in their environment much more. This planet is most likely Scarif being viewed from the Death Star itself. Gareth Edwards talks about how you have to bring something to the table by adding new elements into the experience when directing a Star Wars film. Otherwise, it's all pointless. Some people are saying that this seems like a jab at J.J. Abrams for making a Star Wars film very similar to the originals, but I'll let you decide what you think. More projection of Scarif, with an elaborate contraption that appears to be rigged up to be a spaceship. We transition into a shot of Jyn and Cassian sprinting through explosions. In Jyn's hand, there appears to be a very special package. I can't imagine these being anything but the data tapes that hold the plans to the Death Star. If that's the truth, I think that the casing is designed perfectly. It really feels like it fits this time period in the Star Wars universe. Then begins the montage. Gareth Edwards flying past the screen on a dolly, Donnie Yen practicing a blind fight against a stormtrooper, Felicity Jones aiming her blaster, Diego Luna on the beaches of Scarif, crew members getting excited about the stage direction, Jiang Wen in his armor, and a girl jumping off of a rocky cliff face. We also see tons of new alien creatures, which is very exciting. A shaggy white-furred character with a breathing apparatus. The character that was revealed as Pow, one of the main Rebel characters, makes a brief appearance. A yellow masked creature which reminds me of the Guavian Enforcers. A woman with a veil over her face. A mustachioed Imperial officer. A metal mask over a character with red cloth. Another metal mask, somewhat similar to a gas mask. Another metal mask, this time with more cloth and tubing. A man dressed in blue with a large domed hat, and a woman with bright blue eyes. In this shot, there's a character in the rain, fighting against a massive storm. The location and character aren't very clear, but it doesn't look like anyone we've met so far. It might be right after a battle judging by the fire in the background. Here are a couple of shots in the jungle on Scarif, with Rebel soldiers charging across the screen. I think this is one of the coolest and most unique locations we've had for a Star Wars film in a long time. Chirrut Imwe, Bodhi, and Jyn Erso flash by the screen, and we see Chirrut practicing his force wielding by blindly taking out a trooper. Diego Luna, more shots in the rain, this time on a blue screen, and stormtroopers running across the beach alongside this new class of troop. Lots of beating up of stormtroopers commences, and we see Forrest Whitaker in his only appearance in the Sizzler. We now know that he plays Saw Gerrera, a rebellious character who first appeared in the Clone Wars. It'll be very interesting to see how he leads in this movie. During the panel, Gareth Edwards talked about how these stormtroopers were just extras from around the filming location, and when he asked them if they were thrilled to be stormtroopers in a Star Wars movie, they were very confused. They'd never seen Star Wars, and were really just doing this as a quick job. It's funny considering how some people would actually pay a lot of money to have the same opportunity. Here we see the character revealed to be called Bistan, cackling while gunning out towards the beaches of Scarif. It's a pretty incredible looking costume inside an interesting new ship. Explosions on a blue screen, and Alan Tudyk. He plays the character that I'm most excited about, K2SO, an Imperial Enforcer droid who had his mind wiped and is now best friend to Captain Andor. His personality is rather straightforward. He speaks his mind without any filter. This clip where K2SO just drops a bag he was asked to carry is hilarious, really showing that there will be a good comedic element to this film. Baze, the director, and stormtroopers all flash by, transitioning into this shot. At first glance, it just seems like a short fight sequence, but when you notice that it's an Imperial officer beating up a trooper, something must be up. If you look closely, it's clear that at some point in the film, Jyn and Cassian dress up in disguises in order to infiltrate the Death Star. That's just a glimpse of this plot point, which we see again a little bit later in the teaser. It's clear that this is Jyn, judging by the sword-like sticks on her back. Death Troopers and more fighting on Jedha. This is an awesome shot of a Death Trooper who appears to be noticing something, possibly catching Jyn and Cassian on the Death Star. We get a nice big Hollywood explosion before transitioning into a montage of clips. Director Krennic flanked by Death Troopers, a joyful actor dressed in a rebel fighter outfit, Jyn taking out a trooper, Baze running from explosions, a squadron of this new type of trooper, moisture evaporators, Death Troopers in the heat of a battle, all of our rebel heroes sprinting across the beach, followed by a much more shadowed clip of them running through the water, with the small box that Jyn was carrying earlier still in her hand. And of course, the entire teaser ends with the classic Star Wars saying,
"May the Force be with us."
This doesn't seem like it would actually fit anywhere in the final cut of the film, and was probably just filmed for the trailer. It still makes for a great end to an action-packed tease, with the Rogue One logo drifting through space. And that was the teaser. We've been getting a lot from Celebration Europe, including these props and behind-the-scenes costumes and pieces, new Imperial vehicles along with lots of varying outfits. I had some worries about Rogue One before seeing this teaser. Considering Disney had them reshoot quite a bit of the film, I can only hope that that means that it was just too dark and they needed to lighten it up a little bit, not that the final product turned out terrible. This behind-the-scenes look at the first anthology film in the Star Wars franchise has given me hope that Rogue One will be a fantastic movie. With action and humor at every turn, this will hopefully play out as a fun adventure for everyone to enjoy. Subscribe to Star Geek for weekly Star Wars content. If you enjoyed my analysis of the Rogue One teaser, please shoot that like button at light speed. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by clicking the links in the description. And you can check out my last video, an explanation of the hilarious webcomic Darts and Droids, if you just click on the thumbnail. You can also watch my reaction and analysis to the first Rogue One teaser. Until we meet again in a galaxy far, far away, this has been Star Geek. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around so much. Really quickly, I want to remind you that today at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be joining Chris Pirillo and a bunch of other Star Wars YouTubers on the second episode of Holocron Hangout at Chris Pirillo's YouTube channel. I will link it in the description, so please go check that out. I'll be talking live about all of the events that have been happening recently, and there's a lot to talk about, so I'm excited to talk to all those really awesome Star Wars YouTubers about all that. So yeah, please join us then, and I'll see you there.